Hey there, let's do some practice on 4.4a. So this is where we're factoring trinomials that are greater than, have a coefficient on the x squared greater than 1, and we're going to try guessing and checking. So when I multiply my first terms together here, I need to get 3x squared. So that would just be 3x times x. And then when I multiply these numbers together at the end, I need to get 3. So how do we multiply to 3? That's either 1 and 3, or 3 and 1, or negative 1 and negative 3, or negative 3 and negative 1. 4 combinations. However, we're multiplying to a positive 3, so they either both need to be positive, the factors need to be both positive or both negative. But because we're adding to a positive 10, I'm not going to need negative options. So I'm going to try this option up here first. So positive 1, then a positive 3. Now we check it by doing the smiley face check, by doing the inner multiplication, that's 1x, and then doing the outer, that's 9x. Hey, the 1x and 9x make 10x. And that's what we're supposed to get. So this is the correct factorization. Number 2. We need to multiply our x parts together to get 2x squared. So I need to have a 2 in front of one of them. I'm going to put it in front of the first one. Now when I multiply the last numbers together, I need to get 5. So how do I multiply to 5? Either 1 times 5 or 5 times 1. You could also say, well, what about the negative 1 and the negative 5? Well, because I have a positive there, they both need to be positive. So these are the only two options I need to try. We'll try option number 1 first, plus 1 plus 5, 1x squared, 1x and 10x. So that makes 11x. Shoot, I'm supposed to get 7x. So that's not the right option. I'm going to cross it off. And instead of trying positive 1 and then positive 5, I'm going to try positive 5 and then positive 1. So this inner multiplication gives me 5x. The outer gives me 2x. That makes 7x. And that's what I'm supposed to get. So this is the correct option. Number 3. I start with a 2x squared. So that's going to be 2x and x. I need to multiply to a positive 7. How do you multiply to a positive 7? 1 and 7 or 7 and 1. But then notice we're adding to a negative 15. So I'm going to make these options both negative. And then switch the order. Still multiplies to positive 7, but it will give me a chance to add when I check to that negative 15x. So I'm going to cross off the positive options because I know that can't be. So negative 1, negative 7, I'll try that option first. Get negative 1x, get negative 14x. That makes negative 15x. That's what I'm supposed to get. So this is the right factorization. And I shouldn't be cutting off the parentheses there. That's good to have there. All right. Uh-oh, number 5, I'm just looking at something a little bit further on, but it'll be fine. We'll be all right. All right, I'm trying to multiply to 7x squared. That's going to be 7x times x. Now here, I need to multiply to negative 5. So how we multiply to negative 5 is negative 1 times positive 5, or positive 1 times negative 5. Or we could put the 5 first, because the order matters here. And maybe we make the 5 negative and the 1 positive. Maybe we make the 5 positive and the 1 negative. These are the 4 ways to multiply to negative 5. And again, the order matters, so switching it's going to give you a different smiley face check option. But let's just take a second to analyze this. Holy cow. When I combine the two products to this multiplication, these smiley face checks, I get negative 34. That's a huge number, negative 34x. So to multiply to get a huge number, we need some numbers that are fairly big. So to me, it kind of makes sense that, 7 and 5 would need to go together. So I think I'm going to try the options that start with, or that have 5 in that second parentheses, because that 5 gets multiplied with this 7. So let's try -1 and +5. So I get, let's see here, -1x and +35x, which makes +34x. But I want a negative 34x. So let's switch the signs instead. Notice my eraser. I'm just going to take away the negative and take away the positive and make this one be negative and make this one be positive, which is really what this other option is saying. Let me erase the check because that's not accurate anymore. Here we get +1x. Here we get -35x. And when we combine that, we get -34x. And that's what we wanted. So this is the right option. Yeah, so when it's negative, you have a little more, you can't cross off two of the options like we're able to up here. We cross those off because we know we have a positive middle term. We had a positive middle term, so we didn't even list the negative options. Here we had a negative middle term, so we were able to cross off the positive options. But with practice and intuition, you kind of figure out which options are the best ones to start with. All right, number 5. So it's going to be 7x and x, because that gives us this 7x squared. Now, I need to multiply these numbers that I just underlined to get 2. So it's going to be 1 times 2 or 2 times 1. Again, this technically would work, or it technically works because it multiplies to +2, but there's no way these options, when we do our smiley face check, would give us a positive 9x. So we're multiplying something with 7x. I shouldn't say we're multiplying something. We're multiplying this number with 7x, and we're multiplying this number with 1x, and we're supposed to get a total of 9x out of that. If I were to put a 2 here, I'm already at +14x, and I'm going to add something else positive to that. That's going to take me way over. So that doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to put the 2 here instead then, which means this has to be a 1. And they're both positive. Let's just make sure. I feel like this was going to work. Let's check it. We get 2x and 7x. That makes 9x. Yeah, that's right. So you're taking a little bit of time to strategize where we should put our numbers. It can help. It can make this process less guessy. All right. So to get 5x squared, we need to do 5x times x. And then here, I need to multiply to 5. How do you multiply to 5? 1 times 5 or 5 times 1? You could list the negatives, but you know what? Those aren't going to help me add to a positive 26x. So it has to be one of these 2 options up here in the box. And when I multiply my x terms with the other term and then combine it, I need to get 26x. That's pretty big. It's pretty big. So what do you think I should multiply this 5x with? I'm going to say let's try a 5, because that gets you to 25. This gets you to 25x. And then if we choose the 5 in the second position, it has to be a 1 in this first binomial. And 1 times x is 1x. That makes 26x. That's the option. So this is the right answer. If I would have tried this one instead, that'd only give me, I think, 10x. So, if you tried that option instead, just erase it and try the other one then. Nice, look at this. All right, we're doing it. 2x and x make 2x squared. And then how do we multiply to -1? This one's kind of silly because Oops. It's really just that. We only have those two options, even though it's a negative. But in the end, I noticed that when I combine my two answers from the smiley face check, it needs to be positive 1. So the positives need to win out. So this x is twice as powerful as the other one. So I'm going to multiply this one by the positive 1. I'm going to multiply this one by the negative 1. So this gives me negative 1x, and this gives me positive 2x, which makes positive 1x. So this is the right option. With that, I'm going to let you try the other ones. If you need some help, you're welcome to come in.